there, YouTube? I'm back again today for another game review. And today I'm very excited checking out Kingsburg. This is the second edition of the game. It's for 2 to 5 players. Take about 90 minutes to 2 hours to play, and it's for ages 14 plus. And in Kingsburg, this is the classic game where you're going to be rolling dice and then using your dice as workers to influence different people underneath the king in order to gain different resources and special abilities, while all the while building your city up and preparing for war at the end of each year. Now, I've actually reviewed Kingsburg before. It's one of my top 100 games of all time. I absolutely love the game. So if you're wanting to know how to play the game, click on the video down below and it will show you an overview of how the game is actually played. But we're just going to be going over all the new stuff and all the good stuff that's in this version of Kingsburg, because they took the Kingsburg, the original Kingsburg, they took the Kingsburg expansion, they mushed it all together and made a beautiful baby. Is it beautiful though? Let's open it up and I'll tell you what I think. Alrighty then, we're going to take a look at what you're going to get inside of the Kingsburg. I guess this would be 3rd edition of the game. So first and foremost, we have our handy dandy rule booklet. 15 pages, double-sided, full color, full of pictures, illustrations, examples. Very well done. Should have you up and running in no time at all. Big thumbs up on the rule booklet. So as I mentioned before, we're just going to be going over what is new, what is different in this version of Kingsburg. So the first obvious big thing you're going to notice is the new artwork, which you can just kind of see. You're going to see it throughout this review, so I just wanted to mention it now. Also new component-wise, you're going to notice that the dice are no longer rolling all over the board. They are now these nice custom dice that have squared edges instead of the rounded edges like they were before. They're plastic instead of wood, so I think a lot of people are really going to like that, because if you played the original Kingsburg, you know the dice rolled all over the stinking place. So let's get those out of the way now. They're very nice dice. But let's talk about the different expansion modules, because that's probably what you're most interested in. So first and foremost, we have our old typical Kingsburg board. It has 5 different slots where you'd be able to build 5 different rows. Boom. This one, you flip it over, and now it's just 7 choices instead of 5 choices on the different number of rows. Pretty self-explanatory, pretty simple there. Next, we have these building tiles. Because you like choices on your buildings, boom, you're going to have even more choices. And this will actually make it so everybody's village is slightly different, because you're going to take 2 of these at the beginning of the game, and you are going to keep either 0, 1, or 2 of them. So you could keep both of them, you could keep none of them. It really is up to you, but the catch is you have to slide it over the original row. So this one would go over the original row B, and now it would have different special abilities and different effects that only you would have. So that one's pretty interesting as well. Next, we have one that drastically changes the phase 8, where you fight the bad guy, and that's these tokens right here. So these tokens are tokens that'll be given you at the end of the game. So originally, in the winter phase, what happens is someone rolls the dice to see how much strength the king is going to be sending. However, with this one, you get to decide how much strength this king is sending, but just to you. So he might send you 1 strength, or 0 strength, or all the way up to 4 strength. Now, the catch is you have 6 of these tokens, and the one that you have left at the end of the game is how many victory points you earn as well. So if you think you can handle the strength, the war that's coming at you, then you get ready your 0, and maybe you can hold on to this 4-pointer till the end of the game. Another very interesting addition to the game. Next, we have these tiles right here, which will change the actual advisors that you go talk to. And how this works is you're going to shuffle them up, and then once during each active production phase, you're going to put on a new tile onto the board. And these things really will change things up. So for instance, the 8 one used to be 2 gold. Now 1 person to the left picks a resource for you, 1 person to the right picks a resource for you. The 7, which used to be a resource and any +2 on your dice roll, is going to get you 2 resources you want, but someone else gets a resource as well. The 6 one, interestingly enough, will get rid of the old 6 one, which would essentially just get rid of one of your resources and give you the other 2 kinds. And this one works the same way, but with any resource, victory point, and a temporary strength, so you're going to be able to mess with those. And as you can see, there's a lot of these different ones in here. My personal favorite one, and the one that we normally always play with, and we'll just put it right at the beginning, is the 1 Now, this one is very interesting. It takes away the original bland 1 victory point, and how it works is if you go to this spot, you get the next available spot that's open. So if you went to this spot right here, and then someone went here, and here, and here, and here, and here, then you would actually get the 7 spot. And we've seen it go all the way up to 10 before. So it really spices the game up, especially if you're playing a 5-player version of the game. But I'm not going to go through all these, but needless to say, they definitely do make a new interesting aspect to the game. 2 more modules to talk about. 3 more modules. Yeah, they cram-packed them in there. Next, you're going to have 4 different scenarios that you will be able to play with. And these are only going to be for people who are very familiar with this game. This is if, like, this is one of your favorite games of all time and you just want to mix it up from game to game, because these will have their own different sets of rules that they utilize. Not drastically different, but really cool stuff here. They actually have kind of a backstory a little bit. Very interesting stuff. I haven't got a chance to play through all 4 of them, but we did try one of them. Really cool. Next, we got 2 more types of cards here. Boom, these guys and these guys. These ones will give you asymmetrical powers right from the junk. So these are going to be governors, and you're going to get to pick 3 of the governors at the beginning of the game and keep 1 of them. So for instance, at the end of years 1, 2, and 3, and 5, gain 1 gold. At the end of year 4, gain 2 gold, because he's the miner. This guy's the priest. You will roll a bonus die, and the result after he all re-rolls is 1 or 2. You gain a victory point. At the start of each productive season, invoke a divine blessing. If you do, each player who has at least 1 bonus die gains 1 victory point. Each other player gains 1 bonus die. Very interesting one there. Next, we have the Noble. He starts the game with 6 victory points. Pretty simple stuff there. Start the game with the King's Envoy marker, 1 victory point, and 1 gold. So as you can see, some of them will give you persistent special abilities throughout the game, and some of them will give you just a lump sum right at the get-go. So, last but not least, we have these cards right here, which I'm drawing a blank on what they were called. They're called Destiny cards. Yes, and these are cards that are going to be drawn and they're going to impact the whole year. So you'll draw one at the beginning of each year, and something different will happen. So for instance, during fall, each player rolls 1 fewer player die because there's famine. Heavy snow. During winter, do not roll the die for the King's reinforcements. Instead, each player gains 2 temporary strength as the King's reinforcements. Note, if playing with soldier tokens, the King sends 1 fewer soldier than the number shown on the token. There's actually a really cool one that we didn't get to see the second part of, but it's the King is sick. Yeah, here it is. The King cannot be influenced. If the Destiny card in any previous year was the King is sick, the King dies. So if the King's sick twice, then the King dies. So you could end the game immediately, which, needless to say, I think would actually kind of tick people off. New gold mine. At the start of each productive season, roll 1 die. On a result of 4 or more, each player gains a gold. As you can see, lots of different stuff that you'll be utilizing there. Also, I don't remember player aid cards in the original. I could be wrong, but yeah, there's nice handy-dandy player aid cards, which I think are really useful as well. But that's what you're going to get inside of the new version of Kingsburg. Alright then, Kingsburg, the 2nd edition from Z-Man Games. What are my final thoughts? Let's go over the pros, let's go over the cons. Normally, I do this in a very structured sort of format, but for this one, because we are just talking about the expansion modules, I do want to just talk and rank the expansion modules personally. Talk a little bit about each one and what I like and dislike about each one. So first and foremost, we have these tokens right here, the expansion modules, where they replace the dice rolling at the end, which I really do like. The dice rolling at the end has always been something that bugged me because it can be very swingy. If you roll a 6 or if you roll a 1, it can have a drastic impact on the game, and this takes that luck aspect out of the game in a very clean, cosmetic way. So I really do like these. One thing I don't like about these is how similar the blue and the black are. Like, really, could you have not made these things just a little bit more different? I understand they have the different animals on them, but still, that is an odd graphic design choice. Continuing onward, we have the double-sided player boards. This one has 5, this one has 7, and here's the thing. I will always use 7. I will never use 5. I've taught this game to about 4 new people since I got this version of the game, and each time we've just jumped to the back. Unless you're playing with absolutely just gateway gamers who have never played anything else before, always jump to the back. There's more choices. Yes, there's more to read, but it's just more fun. There's more cooler options, so always play with this one. Likewise, I will always play with this one as well. It's easy to learn, it's easy to teach, and here's the thing: if they played Kingsburg before, it's a very simple addition to say, oh, this replaces the die roll. And if they have not played Kingsburg before, this is also a very simple addition as well. You just say, you look at your temporary strength, you look at the strength on your chart down here, and then you're going to add this number to it and have to fight the thing on the card. So it's a very easy way. I would play with both of those all the time. Next, we have the governors, the asymmetrical abilities that you'll start with. You get 3, you pick 1. I would play this every single time with people who have played Kingsburg before. Now, I do worry ever so slightly about these. Some of them definitely seem more powerful than others. And the one thing I don't like about these different asymmetrical abilities is the fact that some of them, you'll get the card and then you will kind of craft your village towards the card. And one of my favorite aspects of Kingsburg, always has been, always will be, is the fact that it's very open. It's very freeform. It's like, oh, I could do this, or I could do this, or I could go in this path, or I could try to go down this row. And I always like that freedom and trying different things each time, even though I always just ended up going for the market each time, the farm each time. But I don't like the fact that these kind of can lead you down a certain path. With that being said, I think they're really cool, and I will play with them pretty much every time. So I like them, but at the same time, there's something I dislike about them, but I like them more than I dislike them. So yes, all in on those one. Next, we have the events. These, I play with them from time to time. I was not the biggest fan of them. It's just not all the things that are going to happen to you are good things. Some of them are a little bit constricting, and I don't like the constricting nature of some of those cards. It's like, oh, you can't do this year. Oh, you can't do this during the fall. Or, oh, this is not going to happen this time. And it just throws off the ebb and flow of the game a little bit. I don't think they're bad. They just work for me. And that really is, I think, the truth there. Because the other people that I tried them with who had played Kingsburg numerous times, they liked them. They thought they were a cool concept. But for me personally, I just didn't like being constricted. One thing I've always liked about this game is there's always ways to get what you want, either by the +2 tokens or by having the ability to manipulate up or down. And this one just felt a little bit too constricting for me. Next, we have the new tiles that you can place out there. The way that they say you do it, I wasn't the biggest fan of how they say you do it, where you just get a new one each season. I personally just liked it where you just pick 4 or 5 at the beginning of the game and just place them out there. But we tried it both ways. Either way, I like the new tiles. Some of them are pretty meh, but some of them are actually really interesting. Like I talked about in the middle part, the one that replaces the 8. 8 used to be 2 golds, but now it can be one person to the left chooses something for you and one person to the right chooses something for you, and they're always just going to choose whatever you have the most of. It seems like it's like, oh, you have 2 wood already. Here's a wood for you. Oh yeah, here's wood for you. So it's not as interesting as it sounds, but some of them legitimately are interesting. So I did like them, especially the 1 token. So yes, I would play with these on a routine basis. Next, we have the scenarios. We tried one. It was very stinking cool, but these are only for people who are experienced with the game. Also, with these, I would recommend only playing with these for people who are experienced with the game, because the last thing you want to do when someone's just learning the game is just say, oh, we're switching what this 10 does now. No, we're switching what this 2 does now. And constantly switching things up each and every turn. These, likewise, these are for Kingsburg professionals only, people who really, really dig Kingsburg, but I think you really will like them. They add a very interesting twist to your game, and they really kind of change the nature of the game to a certain degree, which I thought was really cool. That's it, right? Those are all the expansions. Yeah, they got a player aid card too, which is fantastic. Always love handy dandy first aid cards. So those are the new modules. Those are the thoughts on my new the new modules. What else is new? The dice are new. I love the dice. They're not rounded edges. They're not going to roll all over the board. That's fantastic upgrade. Now let's get to the big elephant in the room, which is the artwork. That is one of the biggest changes you will notice in this game, and I hate it. I loathe it. I despise it. I detest it. Other thesaurus-y words I do to it. And here's the biggest reason why. Kingsburg used to have a very distinctive art style that set it apart from other games that I used to like. Even if you didn't like the artwork, you'd say, yeah, that's distinct artwork. And instead, they're like, oh, man, we got to get rid of this distinct artwork, and we got to throw this crappy artwork from every other Euro in the 90s into this game. And that's exactly what they did. Look at this box cover. This box cover has no heart. It has no soul. It has no pop. You don't look at this box cover and say, oh man, I gotta play this game where this guy down here is talking to this other guy down here about who the hell knows what, and in the background there's the kid with the dog and there's a castle. No. Why would you get rid of this distinctive art style to put this garbage in there? This looks like every other 90s Euro out there. And it's like they tried to rip the heart and the soul of the game by taking out the artwork. So yeah, I do hate the artwork. But what does that mean in the end? Do I recommend this? Do I not recommend this? And the answer is yes. Obviously, I recommend this because for me personally, it's never about the artwork. I really don't care that much about artwork. It's about the gameplay. And Kingsburg is in my top 100 games of all time. It's been in my top 100 games of all time, I think, every year since I've made the list, which I think is like 7 years now. And this is going to raise Kingsburg up at least 5 to 10 places because these expansions, there's stuff for people who are just learning the game, and there's stuff for people who are experts at the game, and that's exactly what I want. These 7 modules are very different. They're very diverse. Some of them I'll always put in, and I will always play with, and some of them I'll put in them from time to time. But the bottom line is there's none of them that I will never play with, which is great, because that normally is the case when you have this many modules in expansion. Be like, yeah, I wasn't the biggest fan of this one, I'll never play with it. No, there's legitimately, I will play with all of these from time to time. So in the end, Kingsburg, 2nd edition. If you have Kingsburg 1st edition, is it worth upgrading? Yes, absolutely 100%. If you have Kingsburg 1st edition with the expansion, is it worth upgrading? Probably not. I think you can probably get by with what you have, and it's not that big of an improvement, especially considering you have the original artwork, if you like the original artwork. If you like worker placement or dice placement games, yes, no-brainer. You've been stalling on picking up Kingsburg. Now is the time to do it. Don't let the blah box art and the blah artwork turn you off, because it is still an absolutely outstanding dice placement game on it. Slappenbauer's best seal, fantastic. Wholeheartedly recommend Kingsburg 2nd edition. If you enjoyed this review, please be sure to click on that subscribe button down below in the comments below. Let me know. Artwork, new artwork versus old artwork. Am I in the right here? For me personally, yes, obviously I think I'm in the right, but it's a very subjective thing. But I will say, everybody else that I talked to about this, who I played this with, which was probably about 10 people, because I played the heck out of this for the last couple weeks, agreed that they like the old artwork better than the new artwork, just because at least the old artwork had some heart, had some soul, and this one's just kind of bleh. Well, let me know in the comments below, old artwork versus new artwork, because I know when Colosseum came out, I was actually, a lot of people disagreed with me. I like the new artwork for Colosseum better than the old artwork for Colosseum, so I'm very interested to see what your guys' opinion is. So let me know, and as always, thanks for your time, YouTube.